So to make the first kind of introduction to Python, now that we've got into our IDE, in this case we're using PyCharm, we'll start out by discussing inputs, strings, and conditions. And so what I'm going to do is make a program to ask the user for a name. And another thing that I think is quite useful with writing programming in general is writing pseudocode while you're doing it, and just have comments along the way to fundamentally understand why you're doing each line of code and what's the purpose of it. And so, and conditions. And so what we're going to do first is ask the user for their name. And so in Python, we use the hash symbol to define a comment. And so what we'll do is we'll declare a string called name. And the nice thing about Python is we don't need to officially call it a string. Python will be able to assign it after something's been input into it. And appropriately enough, Python has a function called input that will display some kind of prompt to a user, and in the console that user will put whatever comes into that variable name. And so in this case we're going to say, hi, what's your name? And after that we'll say we're going to want to get the user's age. And to do that, we're going to again call the input function, and we'll say, nice to meet you. And then at this point, we can use something referred to as a concatenate operator to link strings together, because the person's name will be a string. And so we'll put in the person's name, and then we'll follow it up with a question of, and we do need not a comment, but a comma, but rather another plus sign, a concatenate operator. What's your age? And after we've done that, what we'll do is we'll make sure that our input here, age, is stored as an integer by calling the integer function of Python, and this will convert a string to an integer, because we'll need to do that in order to compare in our condition later on. And what we'll say is, if age, and you need parentheses in this, if age is greater than 100, colon, print, and then we will say name plus plus something funny or whatever, just to have a nice little segue. That's really old. And so yeah, so now that we've done this, we'll run the program. We'll see if we get any blood, and we didn't, so that's good. So my name is Vincent, and my age is 113, and it is working appropriately. And so in addition to if, we can write other conditions such as elif. And elif is nice if we're creating some kind of switch. So if age is less than 100 and age is greater than 10, we'll display print, open quotes, that's not so bad. And finally, we can finalize our conditions by saying else print, that's quite young. And so we'll run this program. And my name is Vincent, and my age is 13, and it appropriately said that's not so bad. And we will run this code again, and my age will now be 5, and it outputs the appropriate response. And so this is kind of just a very quick introduction to strings, inputs, and conditions, and how we can respond to these variables. Another thing I would like to do is, while we have a moment, if we tried to directly concatenate a string with an integer, we will get an error. And so what we have to do is call the string operator around that integer value that we want to output to the user, and then follow it up with something like this. Is very small, or few years. And so now if we run our program again, my name is still Vincent and my age is 5, and you can see how you need to have the string operator here. And so this is kind of a little quick introduction to this stuff. I highly recommend looking at practicepython.org to get some good programming examples, and I hope you guys find this useful. Let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for watching.